Hello, assalamu alaikum, welcome to Us, and today we're going to look at the fourth installment of the best Test 11s from international cricket. We've done England, Australia, India, and the fourth one we're going to touch is New Zealand's all-time Test 11. We're going to go deeper into it. We're going to talk about specific players who should be part of this team and what should be the composition, because they've got a lot of players that are really, really good. Going to be difficult to try and fit everyone into the side, because this era and the previous era have been jam-packed with players from a New Zealand perspective. That being said, let's begin. Look at the openers. So we've got a couple of openers that I've got in mind. I initially thought Martin Guptill, right? His stats are horrendous in Test cricket. Okay, he has not impressed in Test cricket, so he goes to the far corner of somewhere we don't want to go. And I gotta mention Glenn Turner. This guy, the best opener from every corner of the New Zealand landscape, right? The best opener I could find has to be Glenn Turner. He's got an average of above 44 over the course of 42 test matches that he played. He scored runs like a bucket load. He was strong. He was poised. He was one of those guys who you could depend on to try and get them a solid start. Now, this is the funny thing with him. That was the difficult decision. Glenn Turner was the first name in my head when I thought about openers. The second one, you've got John Wright, you've got, I think, Stewie Dempster. But the thing is, Dempster's record is great, averaging, 60 odd. But he only plays like 10 test matches. If you look at his first class record, oh my goodness, he would have been a great choice. But I'm just concentrating on the test record. So Dempster's kind of out of the discussion for me. And then we have to talk about Bert Sutcliffe. Now, you don't see many openers, if you look at New Zealand's track record in Test cricket, you don't see many openers who've averaged 40 or very close to 40 in their Test career. Bert Sutcliffe is one of those guys. The left-hand, right-hand combination would work really well. On top of that, we have to remember his first match. Getting a century in both innings, very close to getting a double century in the first one as well. So this guy knew how to pile on runs. Now, he wasn't one of those guys who'd come on and just smash the ball from ball one. No, no, no. But he did have a hint of the modern batsman. I was checking up on his technique and things like that. And the thing is, he used to move back and across, which is something that batsmen do a lot nowadays. But back in those days, in the late 40s, early 50s, you didn't do that. And it's kind of like the basis of a lot of modern batsmen, new batsmen that are coming out and performing on the international stage. These guys, I know they're probably not completely influenced by him, but the techniques that Sutcliffe showed definitely do resonate in the players of today. So for me, Bert Sutcliffe, Glenn Turner, top of the order. And then we have the most important and most difficult task of them all. So these are the names of the players that I'm kind of deciding between: Stephen Fleming, Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor, Brendan McCullum. Now, you might say to me, Asjad, you've already got you've got your 3, 4, 5, and 6. But this is where things get difficult. That is just from this era and the previous era, right? And it's so difficult to find situations where the players of now have done so well that you forget about players of the past. Because Martin Crowe was a beast. This guy was the one name I always knew whenever I thought of New Zealand when I was growing up. I thought of Stephen Fleming and I thought of Martin Crowe and maybe Ian Smith as their keeper, right? Also, Ian Smith. Again, I wouldn't put him in the discussion. Doesn't matter if he was a great keeper, whatever, but Brendan McCullum just takes it, just with the bat, with the gloves. BJ Watling's in contention as well. Maybe at number 7, you come in as a very, very solid batsman, but also a fantastic gloveman. It'll be difficult to argue against it, but I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But in the middle order, if we look at 3, 4, 5, and 6, Martin Crowe has performed at number 3. He's performed at number 4. Now, trying to squeeze him into this team is one of the hardest jobs for me. But I have a feeling that I need to, because Martin Crowe, as New Zealand's pioneer batsman in the late 80s, mid 90s, right? He was the guy. And what he did for New Zealand cricket is just outstanding. Not just talking about Test cricket, ODI cricket as well, but just as a genuine player, the way he carried himself, the way he played the game, he was one of the best New Zealand has ever produced. In terms of stats, though, his stats backed him up. From 1982 to 1995, he's played 77 games, scored over 5,000 runs. He's got an average of above 45, like I said before. So definitely a player to watch out in this particular team. So what I'm going to do is something no one would ever agree to. I'm going to play Martin Crowe at number 5. But genuinely, the reason why I have to put Martin Crowe in is because I can't see a New Zealand best 11 without Martin Crowe, which could mean that I might have to discard Bert Sutcliffe or Glenn Turner, but I can't do that. Stephen Fleming, I could do that, but I think he's a really, really good strategist. So is Kane Williamson. And it'll be difficult for me to kind of go in that direction, I must say, right? So if I were to be honest, I would go Fleming at 3, Williamson at 4, Crow at 5, Taylor at 6, and then you don't have space for BJ Watling. So Brendan McCullum has to get the decision, and I think is the right one. Even if he's batting at 7, a dude with an average of 38 and a strike rate of above 60, almost touching 65 in a test match is just fantastic. Now, he played 100 test matches in the top 10 run getters for New Zealand as well, and definitely slots in at number 7. You might say, where does Chris Cairns go in this discussion? I haven't thought about that yet. I'll get to it though. So going back to my potential batting order, and just a few stats I got to mention. And this is the funny thing with players like Fleming, Taylor, Williamson, you don't need to discuss what they've done, right? But just to give you a heads up, top 3 run getters in Test cricket for New Zealand: Ross Taylor, Kane Williamson, who, by the way, is still playing, and Stephen Fleming. So they kind of make the list straight off. Kane Williamson has a fantastic record batting at number 3, captaining New Zealand at the same time. But even if he moves down to number 4, it doesn't affect his record as drastically as it has for Stephen Fleming. He's batted at number 3, he's batted at number 4, batted at number 5, both of these guys. If you look at 3 and 4 as the positions for Williamson, his average at 3 is 56 with over 70 matches in that position. He hasn't played many at 4, but he's still got an average of like 60 odd. So him batting at 4 doesn't make that much of a difference. However, with Stephen Fleming, his average declines considerably. So Stephen Fleming probably not the best choice to bat anywhere barring number 3, unless I go completely left field again. And again, this is why it's difficult. This is why I haven't done this in so long, because I didn't realize how much I needed to prepare before I got into this discussion.
Just an insert here. The left field decision I had before doesn't make as much sense to me, but I think I would personally drop Bert Sutcliffe. Stephen Fleming goes up the order, move everyone up one, put Chris Cairns at number 6, and then I make the brave call of taking out Brendan McCullum and bringing in BJ Watling as my keeper at number 7. His record is sensational. And yes, I'm recording this after the release of the previous video, and very valid points by a lot of subscribers and viewers and stuff. So thank you for that. But yes, definitely, if Cairns is in the side, for me, I bring in BJ Watling. And on top of that, the thing is, Brendan McCullum's record as a batsman is much better as a wicketkeeper batsman in Test cricket. So that's another aspect to this. But definitely, if I were to go left field, I'd go far left and kick out Sutcliffe, put Fleming at the top, and then look at bringing in Watling instead of McCullum, with obviously Chris Cairns at number 6, because he was aggressive in every sort of way as well.
But what I'll do is I'll add Chris Cairns into the discussion. An absolutely brilliant all-rounder with a test record that anyone would be jealous of. Any all-rounder with an average of above 30 with the bat and below 30 with the ball has to be someone we need to talk about. Spanning a career of 15 years, he definitely stove the way for a lot of the all-rounders nowadays, because he wasn't just a defensive all-rounder. He was still aggressive with the bat, and similarly with the ball. He had slower deliveries. He could swing the ball. He wasn't too quick, at least what I saw of him. He wasn't a super fast bowler, but he had variations, and he had variations that allowed him to pick up over 200 wickets and score over 3,000 runs. He was destructive with the bat, and that was one of his trademarks when you looked at him in ODI cricket. But if you just look at his test career, he was still someone who'd come out and absolutely leather the opposition with the bat. And obviously we have to talk about Daniel Vittori. Daniel freaking glass wearing Vittori, because he was the one guy who, when I was growing up, I thought and looked at him, I was like, he wears glasses when he bowls. That's really cool. I haven't seen anyone do that before. So I never, apart from until now, back in the days, I never saw him not wear glasses. So it was really cool to see that. It was refreshing. But at the same time, the type of bowler, the type of player he became for New Zealand was something I did not expect. I did not know he had a batting average of what 30 or close to 30. Can you imagine? Daniel Vittori, he genuinely saved New Zealand from a lot of collapses while at the time he was captain, or even at the time when he wasn't captain. He was genuinely a very, very good all rounder. And that's a term I usually don't use so loosely, but for New Zealand, he could be considered an all rounder because you needed someone at number 8, right? You needed someone to come in and try and provide some sort of stability when you've lost wickets early. And he was always, not always, in most occasions, a dependable lower order batsman who'd give you a few runs or at least hang out for a bit, right? Hang about and not let the collapse be as detrimental to the team as it probably would have been. In terms of his bowling, he's got an average of 34 for a spinner, which is still pretty good, but he's got over 350 test wickets. He is by far the best spinner New Zealand has ever produced. You could say he's played 111 tests. Maybe that's why it doesn't matter. From New Zealand, you don't see spinners come out like that and perform the way that he has for the entirety of his career. Someone who was so metronomic with his lines. Thank you, Aaron. So line and length heavy. He didn't need to turn the ball miles and miles. He just needed to bowl the delivery at one spot over and over again. And that's the consistency you get with someone like Daniel Vittori. And I loved the way he played the game. He was always, always relaxed and calm. And one of those guys, even if, Kane Williamson, Captain Cool, Stephen Fleming, yes, he got angry a couple of times, but he was also a cool member of the roster. And same thing with Daniel Vittori. They're just cool people. Now you might be thinking, I said you're down to like number 8, number 9. You're coming down to the all-rounders and bowlers. Where the hell is Sir Richard Hadley? Well, here he is, because this person, this player, this absolute legend, not just of New Zealand cricket, but of all-rounders of all time, he comes into the team. He has to. And this is why it's hard to put Chris Cairns and Hadley and Vittori and think about Martin Crowe and Fleming. This is so difficult. I thought this was going to be easy, but this is a lot harder than I thought. A bowler with an average of 22.29, 431 wickets in 86 test matches. 86 test matches. That's how many matches he played to get 430 wickets. That's almost Ashwin-esque, right? If you compare it to what Ashwin's done over the course of his career. And I know the comparison does not make sense, but I just mean in terms of the number of test matches and the number of wickets. Richard Hadley was a wicket-taking machine. On top of that, he has over 3,000 test runs. I'm not even counting that in his arsenal. He didn't need that. But that's also a plus, okay? He was so talented. Again, from the era of, in my opinion, you can argue beyond this, you might be right. But in my opinion, the era of the best all rounders produced was the era with Imran Khan, Ian Botham, initially Garfield Sobers, but not in this discussion, Kapil Dev, and obviously Sir Richard Hadley. So yeah, I think definitely Richard Hadley, just a sure shot, isn't he? Just a sure shot in this side. Truly remarkable player, a bowler who could do everything, pretty much do everything back in the day. And then we got to talk about the dynamic duo of Trent Bolt and Tim Southey. Sure, they have above 300 test wickets, if not at least above 250 test wickets. Trent Bolt, left arm fast, is able to swing the ball both ways. He has the left arm angle that benefits him. Swings the ball into the right hander, picks up wickets at the, like, I was going to say at the death, but look at it in every format. He has excelled. He's got an average of what, like 25 as well. He has been sensational since he's come into the New Zealand lineup. And his partner in crime, Tim Southey, is just out of this world as well. Both of them together make such a good combination that it's the only other combination that I can see in the past 20 years has to be James Anderson and Stuart Broad. Ambrose and Walsh, to me, don't come close to how destructive Southey and Bolt are together. And this is something that people are definitely going to disagree with. But I think Southey and Bolt are probably one of the best bowling duos, pace bowling duos specifically, in the history of cricket. That sounds a bit too hyperbolic, doesn't it? Maybe so. But for this video, I think for New Zealand's Test cricket, this is probably the best bowling duo ever for New Zealand. Also, just a side note, Shane Bond, genius. couldn't play as long as I think he should have. Another player, Shoaib Akhtar, I think he should have played longer. Couldn't, injuries. Same thing with Shane Bond. He had an average of like 22, 23 as well. He was quick. He was dangerous. He had a killer Yorker. He had a fantastic bouncer, and he swung the ball quite a lot, considerably, a lot more than someone bowling at what 92, 93 miles an hour should be able to do on a consistent basis. And he did it. He did it, but his career unfortunately didn't last as long as players like Southey, Hadley, Bolt. But it's just an honourable mention. Got to mention Shane Bond in every New Zealand discussion. Oh, just a point. He had a strike rate of 38. 38 as a strike rate. That means he got a wicket every six and a bit overs. That is just shockingly brilliant, right? His average was bowling average was below Richard Hadley as well. So just thought I'd add that in. But genuinely, he could definitely be in any 11 and he would be a dangerous player. But because of the dynamism of Tim Southey, Trent Bolt, I think I got to go with those guys over Bond. But Bond was absolutely brilliant. And if there was any consolation, think about some other players. You could talk about Jack Howie. You could talk about, John Reed, who was so dangerous in the middle. But it's hard to fit those guys in to this particular side because of what this generation has been able to do with New Zealand cricket. It's hard to put them in. But again, just New Zealand has been jam packed with players. Unfortunately, they haven't had to play as many games as England, India, or Australia. But New Zealand is a definite powerhouse of Test cricket. And yeah, there we have it. So my team is right here, the 11 that I've gone with. Again, I could talk about taking out Fleming, putting in Cairns, and doing a jig about, but I want Fleming on the side. And just a heads up, my captain is Kane Williamson. Like I'm not gonna go with anyone else. Kane Williamson is my captain. So there we have it.